Welcome to Brain Vision.
Problem 11.89. We have these two ladders that are leaning on each other on a frictionless floor, and they're connected by a rope 0.9 meters up from the floor that is horizontal, and their lengths and masses are as shown. So we want to find the forces acting at the bottom of the ladders, the tension in the rope, the force, the magnitude of the force at point A here, and then we want to know what happens to the tension in the rope if an 800 Newton painter stands at point A. I don't believe this is the usual way in which painters stand on ladders, but this is physics land, so we just have to deal with it. So now, because the floor is frictionless, there can only be a vertical component to the force at the end of either ladder from the normal force of the floor. Any sideways component would have to be exerted by a static friction, but there is none because it's frictionless. So we use our equilibrium conditions. So let's take the torques about the right end here. So then this is a 3, 4, 5 right triangle is useful to know. This has to be equal to 480 newtons. Times 3.4 meters plus 360 newtons times 0.9 meters. And these come from the lever arms for each one from this point, which you can figure out using trigonometry. And the fact that this is a 3, 4, 5 right triangle makes a lot of it easier. So now the left-hand force is 391 newtons. Now, you can either do this again for F sub r, or we can note that from the vertical forces having to balance, that F sub r has to equal the total weight of the two ladders minus F sub L, and so it's 449 newtons. Now for part B, we want to find the tension in the rope. So now if we find the torque on each ladder using A as our pivot, the rope has a lever arm, moment arm, whatever, of 1.5 meters. So for our left ladder, we have the tension times this 1.5 meters is equal to F sub L times 3.2 meters minus 480 newtons times 1.6 meters. That's the moment arm of the weight of this. And so just dividing through by 1.5 meters and adding everything together and multiplying, etc., we find that the tension is 322 newtons. And you can check this using the torques on the right ladder, and that's a good thing for you to do yourself. You should get the same answer. So, excuse me. So for part C, we want to find the magnitude of the force here at A. So the horizontal force at A from, say, the left ladder on the right ladder has to be equal to the tension we found here, because this is the only other horizontal force, and since this is not accelerating left or right, they have to, this is the only force that can balance that. So it's 322 newtons. And now the vertical force has to be equal to the difference between the weights of each ladder and the force pushing upward on each ladder. So that's on either ladder, I should say. So that's 480 newtons minus 391 newtons, or 449 newtons minus 360 newtons. Either way you like, this is 89 newtons. So this is the y component. And now the magnitude of the force at A is the same as the magnitude for every vector. And that is 334 newtons. So now we have our painter who somehow thought it's a good idea to stand on top of this configuration of ladders. And now, so we know we've the distribution, his weight is going to be distributed in such a way that you get this. 36% of the additional weight will go to the left-hand side. And then the remaining 64% of the weight will go to the right-hand side. And this is just from looking at what the total of these forces are, and then the percentage that each one makes up of that. And then it's going to be the same because nothing about the physics has changed aside from the amount of weight added to the system. So if we use that, we found an equation for the tension in part B, and so we just put this back in here. And so using the left-hand side, say, 480 newtons times 1.6 meters. This is all divided by the 1.5 meter lever arm of the rope. And of course, you could do this again with the F sub r equation, which is a good idea for you to do to check that you will also get 937 newtons.